What's poppin', y'all? This situation with Offset and Lil Tjay, with Offset ending up in the hospital because he got shot, has been one of the most bizarre reactions from just overall. It feels like nobody really cares, like they're interested in the beef, but they're more so, like, this was the guy, anytime a gun goes off, especially if it's aimed at somebody, they could have died, but I feel like this situation is not being treated like that whatsoever. First off, you got Lil Tjay bonding out.
The last thing I seen was Offset looking at me like this. Yo, that shot me. That shot me. La la la. Was a rat. I don't do no damn fighting.
Man, you just want to tell us what happened?
Did I shoot Offset?
They're saying you were disorderly. Outside the
put his
casino, there was
hands
a
on
fight
you
near the
first?
valet.
Smack the shit out of Offset. He would never play with me like that in his life.
Does somebody owe you money?
Ask Offset.
He owe you money?
Ask Offset.
So you hear this guy, somebody actually replied to this, say he running around like he Pac. That's exactly what it looks like. The guy, usually when people come out, they step out, they try not to talk to anybody. Tjay is popping his stuff. And maybe we need some transition, I guess. He's got to start making some different music, because that singing stuff is not going to hit if you're doing it like this. That's why I said, I was like, yo, why is Tjay always trying to do like the whole, like tough guy act when that doesn't serve his career at all, even if it's accurate? But here, in this case, it might. So while Tjay's outside popping it, Offset's in a hospital gown, smoking cigs, and academics would talk to Offset because Offset needed to make sure everybody knew that he wasn't a rat, that he didn't tell, that he didn't make any statements.
Yeah, and I talked to Set. I made sure it was okay. He was a little bit perturbed by how the media, and I guess I'm definitely part of the media, was putting this out. Because he's like, listen, two things. And this is two things that he wanted to clear up. He said, Tjay never shot me. And he said, number two was, I never made no statements. That's why that popping. Basically saying, his words to me was, man, I told him, cops, I don't know what happened. I don't know who did what. I don't know what happened. I'm just here. So he said he declined to, speak about anything, and he said he had no knowledge of what went on anyway.
So this is crazy because he's like not giving statements, but he's saying, well, Tjay didn't do it. So is this like a Gunna type situation where Gunna's like, yo, I was in the car with this other person and there was drugs in the car, but they ain't my drugs. So who else was with Tjay? That's what we need to know. Was with Tjay with one other person? Was he with two other people? Who did he pull up with? And this is just outright stupid, because now this is going to escalate. Like I said, my whole thing was, and I said this on X, I said, listen, lawyers got to get paid. Offset's got some gambling debts. Can we at least get some music about the situation? Can somebody hop in the studio and drop a track? You don't got to say what happened, but, at least talk some trash. Like, Tjay's already talking trash on video camera. Like, he can at least do that in the booth. I don't want to hear Tjay talk trash on video camera. I want to hear Tjay talk trash on a mic, because he's already demonstrated that. Offset, on the other hand, he's been a bit more reserved, so we'll give Offset a little bit more time. But the reason why I want the music is because that's the product that I get to enjoy. I don't get to enjoy these guys going back and forth, because what do you think is really going to happen? Offset's not telling. Tjay's popping his stuff, and Tjay's really popping it because Offset was the one that was pressing up on him when Tjay was saying that he owed him $10K. So Offset was like, yo, you think you gonna play with me? He said, like, get it back in blood, basically. He also told him when he was in New York that he would pull up and beat up on him. So Offset was talking like that, and then when Offset is the one that's the victim in this case, you see Offset in a hospital gown in a wheelchair while he's recovering. Do you think that he's just going to take that and just chill, especially when he didn't tell on Tjay either? No, he's going to be plotting, and he's going to say, okay, how can I get back on Tjay? And then this is going to end up in somebody dying or somebody getting arrested and being locked up for a very long time. Well, usually this is not exactly, but this is a similar mirror to what we saw with YFN Lucci and Young Thug. Both of these guys, they've got beef. It keeps escalating. Shots getting fired. Members of their team getting harmed. And what happens? Members of their team end up in prison for decades. Some of them end up dead. And both of these guys are out free and living life. So that's likely what would happen between, Tjay. That's what is the best outcome, quote unquote, for these two guys, because they get to stay free. But really, the worst outcome is one of them gets seriously harmed or ends up in prison for a very long time. And I don't think Tjay even cares. But like I said, the weirdest part about this was that how everyone reacted to the situation. Dez Bryant, an NFL player, former NFL player, I know he was in the NFL at some point, but the first thing that he says when the screenshots resurface about the 10K that started all of this. He says the following: I don't ever talk about what I do or my relationships with anyone, but I'm going to give y'all a quick story between me and Offset. I beat Offset out of 8K. He tried to take a nap on me, and I go to tap on him to wake him up, telling him I need that 8K. His partners saw me tapping on him. I can tell his partners wanted to jump on some bullshit. So he's asking for his money back, and then his homies, the Offset's homies, are trying to make sure that he doesn't get his money. He says, I chilled because I was by myself, completely outnumbered, so I charged it to the game. I swear to God, Offset reached out to me yesterday, 3 hours before he got shot on a money play. Yeah, that's the worst. Whenever you hear somebody hitting you with a money play, you know just not to listen. Yo, this is a quick flip. Yo, we can turn this into that. Yeah. And especially if someone's like, nah, I need this right now. It's only like 3 hours. Hit you with the scarcity. Yeah, he needs it because he's gambling right now. I thought about it and said, I'm good. Then I saw the news later on and was like, damn, some people don't play about their money. You know, he had the biggest grin on his face when he saw this news. And he deserves it, because somebody like an Offset, and it's these types of situations. Like, let's say you're gambling with an Offset, right? Like, let's say you're playing dice or something like that. If you're up and Offset owes you and you're like, okay, I'm leaving, right? Like, let's just say you're up. You're like, I'm leaving. Offset is such a degen gambler that if he was up in your position, he wouldn't stop. He would keep going because he's just like, nah, yo, I could double this. I could triple this. But him and his partners are going to make sure that you don't leave. So you have to keep playing. They're going to be like, nah, you're going to leave now? Nah, you can't leave. Nah, we got to run this back a couple of times. So you can't leave until you lose it all, pretty much. Or until you're negative and they're getting money out of you. But for Offset, if he's losing, he's bullying people. Because that's what it looks like here. He's outnumbering him, didn't pay the guy back. So that's just one scenario. We got another scenario with none other than Ebro that says Offset owes him money.
Didn't you and Offset have a bet?
He owes me $5,000.
Oh, God.
He does.
Was it a serious? Yo, Bascom, come on, man.
Oh, God.
Did
Offset's fine. I
No.
called him. I tried to call him last night.
But was it a serious bet?
Yeah, we bet on the Super Bowl
And
in New Orleans.
Now, if you had lost, would you have paid him?
I mean, I bet $5,000. I was prepared to pay him $5,000.
You were prepared to.
Yes.
That is funny, though.
I've talked to him 1,000 times since then and never
No.
jammed him up about $5,000.
No, of course.
Because clearly he's somebody that didn't pay his bet. Like, why I'm not going to chase you around about
God.
$5,000's not a big deal to me.
Well, see, why do you have to turn into a? By the way, if it's not a big deal to you, why would it be a big deal to Lil Tjay?
Well, that's where I was going to go. That I don't think that TJ's got more money than I
For
got.
the record,
I don't think it would be over $10,000.
Everything's $5,000 not being a big deal is relative, by the way. Like, it depends who owes you $5,000.
Me and Offset are in a good enough situation where
Well, no,
I
he
don't
didn't
need
borrow
to stress
money from you.
Yeah, it wasn't a loan. We made a bet.
You made a bet, right? Now, TJ, so the suggestion is they were gambling at some point, and Offset was like, "Oh man, I'm down. You got money?" And TJ said, "Here's $10,000
For the original
No.
10? No.
We don't know.
It's all rumors. So we
But
don't
see,
know.
that's why I said, why are we jumping all the way to gambling? Like, yes, Cardi said what she said. Yes, they were at a casino. The $10,000 I don't think has to do with gambling, whatever that story is.
Okay.
And we don't even know if TJ was involved. We don't know anything.
So first off, I want to give a lot of credit to Ebro because we give criticisms and we give praise. He got in a set with Laura and Rosenberg. It's kind of like, it's got a good vibe. I like the set. They were talking the other day about how they were frustrated and it was hard to get guests, and people were clowning them, saying like, yo, look at this setup. When you go from hot, and by people, I was one of them. But although I don't think like I said, I just gauged the expectations. Their expectations were really high, or the expectations that people had of them. So I like that they're working hard and trying to make this thing work. This is a great clip. Now, when we're talking about the money aspect of it, Ebro, I do not have any reason to believe that Ebro would not have paid his debts. Like, people don't like Ebro. Ebro may be quote unquote mean. He may be an a-hole. He is very well a hater. But Ebro being a liar, Ebro not paying his debt, I think the guy's a principled guy. I 100% believe that to my core. So if Offset was like, yo, where's my money? I think he would have paid him. But this just shows a pattern of behavior from Offset. Like, we just saw, keep in mind, there was also a Selena Powell situation, which none of us really care about. Like, Selena Powell losing a bunch of money to Offset. Let's be real here. That was him getting back in blood, to be honest. Well, she exposed her in bed with him, which didn't serve him too well. But she had terrorized terrorized his life when he was with Cardi B when she lied about being pregnant by Offset for clout. So for him to not pay her, we can kind of sweep it under the rug and say, yeah, you know, she owes you that bread. She should have broke you something off. So he didn't pay her back. And then the Lil Tjay situation. So when he's talking about, yo, I'm not getting paid by Offset, that's not a big deal to Ebro. Ebro saying that's not a big deal to him. Well, when he's doing this to everybody, and Offset's got a lot of friends, right? He's got a lot of people that are willing to maybe make a bet with him. And Offset, if he wins the bet, he gets the money because the person is likely going to pay, and they're not as scummy as Offset. This is scumbag stuff. That's why, like, sure, I do feel bad for Offset for getting into a physical altercation like this. 100%. I would never want him harmed like that physically. Or, you know, for him to get shot, God forbid, like in a position where he could have passed away. Like, we're going to have one Migo left? Please, no. But he is constantly doing this thing where obviously he's pressing people to get his money from gambling, but when he makes a bet with somebody, he's avoiding paying them and basically never paying them. The only person that's getting paid from Offset is the casino. So he's in a win-lose situation for everybody. So he's up. So he's looking at it when he's gambling like, yo, I could just make a couple of bets with these 5 people. Like I said, Offset's got a long Rolodex. He's been famous for a long time. People know he's rich. So he's like, okay, I'm going to do 10 bets. If I lose 5 of these bets, I'm not going to pay them. I win 5 of these bets, I'm up, I don't know, 20, 50, 75K. And that is scumbag behavior. And this is what comes to bite you in the behind. So with Lil Tjay was the one person, it seems like, at least publicly, that was like, yo, this guy's trying to punk me. Where the hell's my 10K? Like somebody that's not going to play about his paper, like Dez Bryant said. Because this is the thing. People have something to lose. So in Ebro, if Ebro goes on and says, yo, Offset owes me money, 5K, you know, people deride rappers like crazy. So they're going to be like, man, Ebro's complaining about a little 5K? Like, come on, man. He was probably just joking. Don't make any excuse under the sun for a rapper. So that's why there's no benefit for Ebro to bring it to the public, because that's the only way you could shame Offset. Then there's a Dez Bryant. A Dez Bryant, like, why would he randomly talk about it to the public? That's not going to do anything. And on top of that, what is Dez Bryant going to get people to jump? Dez Bryant has stuff to lose. He's like, yo, am I going to risk 8K to what? Get a bunch of people to try and harm Offset and potentially get myself into a legal situation? I'll just chalk it up to the game, never deal with him again in this capacity, and keep it pushing. But Lil Tjay, even though he has a lot to lose, he's the one that don't care. He's like, yo, I am not going to be played with. I'm not going to be made to look a fool out of, and that's that. So he better pay me my 10K, and I'm going to air it out, which we have to thank Tjay for doing that. He blew the whistle on this, despite what we've all criticized Tjay for. He blew the whistle on this, and now people know he's done a favor for so many people. Hey, stay away from this guy with anything having to do with money. Now, this is terrible news for the casino because this shooting happens at the casino. Everybody knows Offset loves this casino. He's going back to this casino. Now, if you're somebody that is another gambler, right? Like, let's say you're richer than Offset. Are you going to want to be in the same place where you know that this guy that has a ton of debts and is famous and a shootout already happened is gambling and you know he's always there? I don't know about that. But yeah, we're going to start to see something unravel with Offset, and I think this is just the beginning. I think there are dozens of people that Offset owes money that he has not paid, and I think there are a lot of people that are wronged because we did not see too much sympathy come out from rappers. Usually if this was, people would be like, yo, get well soon, you know, hope you're doing good, even on public posts as fast as they could. You know, they're going to hop on the situation. But here, most rappers were quiet about it. And maybe that's because like Lil Tjay's involved, but Lil Tjay doesn't really network with rappers like that. Lil Tjay really does keep to himself. So it's not like they're getting in between two friends. But maybe I'm reading too much into it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see you on the next one.